The name is misleading. You do not have to be an expert at gardening to become a master gardener.
Welcome to Ray Ray's Garden, y'all. I didn't even start YouTube until I was 45 years old, y'all. So if nothing else, I do have some life experience. So when I reached out to a pretty well-known gardening influencer, I really wasn't expecting an answer. Not only did she answer, but I was blessed enough to be able to do an interview with her. We sat down for quite a while, y'all, talked about life, gardening, and the Master Gardener program.
My name's Jessica. My handles are from Dream to Seed. I've been gardening for home gardening about 16, 17 years. I come from a family of home gardeners, so I knew somewhat about home gardening, but I've always loved science, super big science nerd, and I got really into the science of it. Just did all the research I could possibly do on gardening. I met, probably a few years after that, I met a master gardener. Had no idea what that was, but I was like, tell me more and tell me how I can become one. So if you're not familiar with what that is, it's I believe it was created through the USDA, and it's part of the extension program. So most counties have an extension office, and this offers, they're such an underutilized like gem of a place. They offer all kinds of free knowledge to the community. So it can be gardening, it can be health and nutrition, so many different things. But one of those little categories is gardening. And so they have what are called master gardeners. And this is a certification through your county usually. And it's usually almost always through a land grant university. It's a certification. So each program will vary a little bit in how you certify, but mine was a 40-hour class. And then it was 40 hours of service basically, because it's a volunteer position. So I've done lots of different things in order to get that certification. I worked in community gardens, I taught classes, lots of different things. And then once you're certified, you can continue to kind of move up in levels depending on how many hours you've accrued. So I do have to continue to do education and service each year in order to keep up my certification. So right now I help maintain community gardens. I help to man booths at community events like pollinator awareness days, a tomato festival. I'm also part of a seed saver committee that helps save seeds.
So when you discovered this program and you started volunteering and stuff like that, what was the greatest joy that you got from that? Like, what did it do for you?
So I would say two things. One's a little, I wouldn't say selfish, but it's definitely more personal. But honestly, my favorite thing is just I met this community of people that love gardening, or as obsessed with gardening as I am. And I love that. And I also got to be out in the community. I've taught at schools. I meet people that really want to get into gardening, and I'm so excited to answer those questions for them. Personally, it's the education of it. So I take these courses and most of the time they're completely free, or not courses, they're like webinars or seminars, sure. Or very, very cheap, from some of the top soil experts, top master gardening programs, top ag programs in the country about anything and everything to do with gardening, agriculture, soil health, pollinators. And so I get this constant influx of learning and information. So that's probably one of my favorite things about master gardening.
That's actually amazing. Mm-hmm. Like you're giving back and everything, but at the same time, you're able to learn so much.
Oh yeah.
Good for you. That is so awesome. If somebody, on the street says, hey, I'd like to start in this program or something like that, what advice would you give them?
Again, it's going to differ between each county. So I would definitely start by contacting your extension office. And I knew shockingly little about flowers and soil health and all that. And now soil health is one of my favorite things to talk about. Pollinators are one of my favorite things to talk about. So
that's amazing.
It really broadened my view of what gardening actually is. It's sort of the foundation. It's like, you can build a super, super nice house and it can look pretty, but if you don't have that good foundation, eventually it's going to crumble. And so coming from and same thing, you being in the Midwest, we're in farming communities. There's farms, and people will apply those sort of traditional conventional farming techniques to their home garden. But the truth is we don't need to do that. And a lot of these farms, especially organic farms, are realizing this too and getting away from this. So there's no need to rototill your garden every year. That's something when I talk to people sort of in the older generation about this, they're like, what? Like, it's so foreign to them that you wouldn't need to do this. And that it's actually can be detrimental to your soil. You don't need a whole lot of heavy pesticides or insecticides. Really, there's things you can do to kind of mitigate the damage. There's things you can do to. I'm not saying they're not ever necessary. You don't need to apply heavy synthetic fertilizers every single year. It can actually, again, be detrimental to your soil. So one of the things, yes, that I talk about a lot on my channels, that I talk about in person with people when I'm teaching, is you've got to build up your soil. It's not a one and done. You have to keep maintaining and building that soil. You have to crop rotate. You have to keep adding organic matter when it's needed. You have to, feed the soil, basically. And then it will, in turn, feed those plants. And those plants are going to be a lot healthier and more productive.
Woo! Holy cow, y'all. Sorry to pause the video, but that might have been the best gardening advice I've ever heard in my life. Well done, ma'am. Any final thoughts or anything you would want to leave us with?
When it comes to master gardening, I would say if you're even remotely, the name is misleading. You do not have to be an expert at gardening to become a master gardener. In fact, a lot of the people that were in my class knew very little about gardening. They joined the class to learn more about gardening. So, but if you're wanting to join a community of people and serve your community and just learn more about gardening, it's such a great program. Like, I just tell everyone, I'm like, do it. And also, I would just say, if you're wanting to start a garden, but you're nervous, because I get it. And that's one of the reasons I started my channel, was just to break down gardening for beginner gardeners, because it's overwhelming and there's so much conflicting information out there. Just start small. Pick like 3 or 4 of your favorite things to eat and start there. Just start with a little raised bed or, a little plot in your yard. I would say raised bed or containers are kind of the easier place to start for beginner gardeners, but just start and write it down. Write down what works, write down what doesn't work, write down when you planted it, write it down, because gardening journaling is another huge helper to beginner gardeners. But yeah, I would just say, if you were even remotely interested in gardening, like, do it. There is nothing more fulfilling than eating food that you have grown yourself.
If you want to learn how to garden, go to Jessica's Facebook page and start there. There is so much free advice and training. And of course, don't forget to subscribe to this channel, because part 4 of the seed starting series is going to drop soon. We'll catch you then, guys. Ray out.